Hello, my name is Angela Dennison, and I have chosen to read Stregonana by Tony DiPaolo, who not only wrote but also illustrated this book. Stregonana was published in 1975 and won the Caldecott in 1976. Tony DiPaolo also won a Laura Ingalls Wilder Medal in 2011 for all of his contributions to American children's literature. So on the cover here, it's kind of hard to see in the camera, but we've got Stregonana in a little bit of a gold foil. And let's get started. Stregonana, an old tale retold and illustrated by Tony DiPaolo. For Franny and Fluffy. In a town called Calabria, a long time ago, there lived an old lady everyone called Stregonana, which meant Grandma Witch. Although the people in the town talked about her in whispers, they all went to see her if they had troubles. Even the priest and the sisters of the covenant went because Stregonana did have a magic touch. She could cure a headache with oil and water and a hairpin. She made special potions for the girls who wanted husbands. And she was very good at getting rid of warts. But Stregonana was getting old. She needed someone to help keep her little house and garden, so she put up a sign in the town square. And Big Anthony, who didn't pay attention, went to see her. "Anthony," said Stregonana, "you must sweep the house and wash the dishes. You must weed the garden and pick the vegetables. You must feed the goat and milk her, and you must fetch the water. For this I will give you 3 coins and a place to sleep and food to eat." "Oh, grazie," said Big Anthony. "The one thing you must never do," said Stregonana, "is touch the pasta pot. It is very valuable, and I don't let anyone touch it." "Oh, si, yes," said Big Anthony. And so the days went by. Big Anthony did his work, and Stregonana met with the people who came to see her for headaches and husbands and warts. One evening, when Big Anthony was milking the goat, he heard Stregonana singing, peeking in the window. He saw Stregonana standing over the pasta pot. She sang, "Bubble, bubble, pasta pot, boil me something nice and hot. I am hungry and it's time to sup. Boil enough pasta to fill me up." And the pasta pot bubbled and boiled and suddenly filled with steaming hot pasta. Stregonana sang, "Enough, enough, pasta pot. I have my pasta nice and hot, so simmer down my pot of clay until I'm hungry another day." "How wonderful," said Big Anthony. "That's a magic pot for sure." And Stregonana called Big Anthony in for supper. But too bad for Big Anthony because he didn't see Stregonana blow the 3 kisses to the magic pasta pot. And this is what happened. The next day, when Big Anthony went to the town square to fetch water, he told everyone about the pasta pot. And naturally, everyone laughed at him because it sounded so silly. A pot that cooked all by itself? "You better go and confess to the priest, Big Anthony," they said. Such a lie! And Big Anthony was angry, and that wasn't a very good thing to be. "I'll show them," he said to himself. "Someday I'll get the pasta pot and I'll make it cook. And they'll be sorry." That day came sooner than even Big Anthony would have thought, because 2 days later, Stregonana said to Big Anthony, "Anthony, I must go over the mountain to the next town to see my friend Strega Amelia. Sweep the house and weed the garden. Feed the goat and milk her, and for your lunch there is some bread and cheese in the cupboard. And remember, don't touch the pasta pot." "Oh, yes, yes, Stregonana," said Big Anthony, but inside he was thinking, "My chance has come." As soon as Stregonana was out of sight, Big Anthony went inside and pulled the pasta pot off the shelf and put it on the floor. "Now let's see if I can remember the words," said Big Anthony. And Big Anthony sang, "Bubble, bubble, pasta pot. Boil me some pasta nice and hot. I'm hungry and it's time to sup. Boil enough pasta to fill me up." And sure enough, the pot boiled and bubbled and began to fill up with pasta. "Ah, "Hurrah!" said Big Anthony, and he ran to the town square, jumped on the fountain, and shouted, "Everyone get forks and plates and platters and bowls. Pasta for all at Stregonana's house. Big Anthony has made the magic pasta pot work." Of course, everyone laughed, but ran home to get forks and plates and platters and bowls, and sure enough, when they got to Stregonana's, the pasta pot was so full it was beginning to overflow. Big Anthony was a hero. He scooped out the pasta and filled the plates and platters and bowls. There was more than enough for all the townspeople, including the priest and the sisters in the covenant. And some people came back for 2 and 3 helpings, but the pot was never empty. When all had had their fill, Big Anthony sang, "Enough, enough, my pasta pot. I have my pasta nice and hot, so simmer down, my pot of clay, until I'm hungry another day." But alas, he did not blow the 3 kisses. He went outside, and to the applause of the crowd, Big Anthony took a bow. He was so busy listening to the compliments from everyone that he didn't notice the pasta was still bubbling and boiling, until Sister from the Covenant said, "Oh, Big Anthony, look!" And the pasta was pouring out of the pot all over the floor of Stregonana's house, and it was coming out of the door. Big Anthony rushed in and shouted the magic words again, but the pot kept bubbling. He took the pot off the floor, but pasta kept pouring from it. Big Anthony grabbed a cover and put it on the pot and sat on it, but the pasta raised the cover, and Big Anthony as well, and spilled on the floor of Stregonana's house. "Stop!" yelled Big Anthony, but the pasta did not stop, and if someone hadn't grabbed poor Anthony, the pasta would have covered him up. The pasta had all but filled the little house. Out of the windows and through the doors came the pasta, and the pot kept right on bubbling. The townspeople began to worry. "Do something, Big Anthony," they shouted, and Big Anthony sang the magic song, but without the 3 kisses, it did no good. By the time the pasta was on its way down the road, and all the people were running to keep ahead of it. "We must protect our town from the pasta," shouted the mayor. "Get mattresses, tables, doors, anything to make a barricade." But even that didn't work. The pot kept bubbling and the pasta kept coming. "We are lost," said the people, and the priest and the sisters of the covenant began praying. "The pasta will cover our town," they cried. And it certainly would have, had Stregonana not come down the road, home from her visit. She didn't have to look twice to know what happened. She sang the magic song and blew the 3 kisses. With a sputter, the pot stopped boiling and the pasta came to a halt. But then they turned on poor Big Anthony. "String him up," the men of the town shouted. "Now wait," said Stregonana. "The punishment must fit the crime." And she took a fork from a lady standing nearby and held it out to Big Anthony. "All right, Anthony, you wanted pasta from my magic pot?" Stregonana said. "And I want to sleep in my little bed tonight, so start eating." And he did. Poor Big Anthony. The end. Look, he made it. He was able to eat all the pasta, and Stregonana slept in her little bed that night.